Hi, I'm Greg Filson, known from the BXG podcast. You can get that anywhere. I'm here to tell you about really great sunglasses from Ambassador Sunglasses. If you need any kind, any style, they really do a representation. Men or women, you'll find a perfect pair. Good prices, and with my promo code GTPHILS, all caps, you can get 50% off starting now. Yeah, please go ahead, get yourself a pair, get someone else a pair. They're a really good price. I can't recommend them highly enough. I've been wearing the 4 that I've got all the time, and I get compliments all the time. You will too. Ambassador Sunglasses, ambassador.com. Promo code GTPHILS.
Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Tom Holland needs to shut his mouth. That's what happens.
We just need it. We need his mouth to be closed,
melded,
like a seam.
Melded. This is episode number 60. I'm one of your hosts, Brendan Beswick, alongside my co-host, spoiler free, Greg Filson. How are you doing tonight, Greg?
I am spoiler free. I'm doing all right. Getting in that teacher groove or whatever. So I'll probably hit my stride right as Thanksgiving comes along, and I'll have 9 days off to just lose my the weekends, and then the week. I actually have in service a couple days, so I'll have to go in and be like a professional person, but I won't have to teach. So,
all right.
How are you, Brenton?
I'm getting by. I'm just getting by. BXG podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services around the globe. Official BXG social media accounts: Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, Twitter at BXG Podcast, at GTFilson at Y2B. Check out our YouTube channel where you can see trailer reactions, reviews, things like that. The Eternals will be live by the time the podcast posts. We're going to post the video sooner than the podcast, so there's that. So if you watch the video and you want to skip through in that part of the podcast, you can. It'll be like time travel.
It will be.
But we've got a good show tonight. We lead with the Eternals. So, if you're ready for it, we can just jump right in.
Well, let's jump right in. Let's do it.
Let's do it. The Eternals, the latest movie from Marvel Studios to join the MCU. It did win the weekend box office with a domestic gross of about 71 million, and approximately about the same worldwide, bringing it to about 140 million or so in the first weekend. Which is, I don't think, a disappointment, but it did check in at less than Black Widow and Shang-Chi in terms of its opening weekend. It's also worth noting the film is currently the only MCU movie with a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes at 46% critical, but fans are scoring it at around 80%. The film is divisive due to the perception that it's pushing woke, quote unquote woke. I hate that term, but
sure.
Woke characters of color and different sexualities. So with all that, and as we kind of do with this, spoiler free.
Okay, I'll go bad, good, spoiler free. It was a little long in the tooth. I will say that it was definitely long. I understand why it was long. You're introducing completely new characters with a background of like even hardcore comic book people. Like I had never read the Eternals. I'll flat out, I never read it. I don't know anyone that has, and they've been around for a really long time. It's not like this is not Guardians of the Galaxy that just kind of came around, and this has been a comic book series for a really long time. It's a tough storyline to, I think, bring to life in that manner of doing it over one movie. So I think that was, I think that's probably part of what the Rotten Tomatoes score is about. Trying to do a lot in a certain time frame. I think that was the main flaw, was just being a little long, and trying to push a lot of things, several characters into one thing. The other thing I will say that I think hurt it, not, this is stuff I'm saying I think hurt on the greater, not on my personal view, is since there was no character that was brought back that we knew, I think that hurt it. There was nobody that, there wasn't a just trying to get, there wasn't a Doctor Strange. We'll just go,
There was no
Thor.
or cameo of some type.
There was no cameo to
Okay.
like, oh yeah, sweet, like to get the crowd going. So I think and there's probably a lot of people that went thinking, well, I'll at least see Thor or somebody,
Right.
Captain Marvel, for on that extent. So I think those are probably the biggest things. But a lot of the reviews I read that were negative were just saying it was a kind of a plotting movie without like a lot of humor, or, there was a decent amount of action, not a ton, but it is a movie that is restarting Marvel. Shang-Chi was kind of a standalone. We know he's going to be in movies, but he's not the base of what is to come. And what the Eternals is trying to be, and we'll see what actually happens with this, is that we have the world at risk now, seriously at risk. We know that it could collapse. We know that there's something big and bad happening. And I'll transition to the good. Is I actually really liked the people in the movie, the actors playing the characters, and I like the actors and I like the characters. I thought Kumail Nanjiani was probably my favorite, because that whole storyline with him being a Bollywood actor who was just transcending down, like he was his great grandfather all the way to being him, and then keeping his like butler around and filming everything. I thought that was really funny, just funny enough. And I will say, on my end of things, when there's a circumstance of the world kind of imploding from within, maybe we don't need to be Guardians of the Galaxy trying to make a joke out of every little thing. And so like, I actually liked that. And I went into this movie, you and I were both like, pretty even keel, maybe even like negative going in. And so I like Gemma Chan. I liked Richard Madden, all these characters that from other things, I thought were really good. I thought the twist of Icarus.
Spoiler free.
Sorry. I thought the twist was good. Sorry, I forgot I thought the twist was good, because that twist would have been like, had one of the Avengers said, and not Civil War twist, but like literally saying like, F you guys, I'm on the other side here. So I thought all those things were kept it going. Even though it was a little long, I didn't mind it, especially what we get at the end. I thought really paid off in the actual way that it ended. And then with the end credits, definitely paid off for me. What did you think, Brenton?
So good and bad. I felt like, well, first of all, we always kind of do this. When we did the Marvel thing with when we did the MCU in review, July 76 was the first Eternals appearance, and it was in Eternals #1. So there is some history there. The good and the bad. So I agree with you that the movie was a little bit too long, but I don't know where you cut out anything.
Yeah, exactly.
To make it shorter. And I felt like when you have 10, a team, basically, you have a team of 10 characters, some of them are going to get more shine than others. And as a result, there were characters that I left the movie not even knowing what their names were. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a problem. That's a storytelling problem. I didn't find the characters too interesting, if I'm being honest. Icarus, and this was even said that Chloe Zhao, the director, based him off of Snyder's Superman, and you can see that all over it. And I felt it was weird that they made a bunch of references to like Superman and Batman. Mm-hmm. That was like almost like a strange sort of self-aware thing. I thought they missed the mark, and maybe excuse me, maybe it would have been too easy, and that's why they didn't do it, of having Kit Harington and Richard Madden like make some type of reference, um like to like knowing each other from another world or
I
something
think
like
when they
that.
kind of met for the first time, it was almost like a slight tinge of that. I felt like that was, I
Yeah,
agree that there could have been something a little tongue in cheek they could have
right.
done,
I,
but
I was
yeah.
kind of expecting something in it, and then there wasn't. I don't It's really hard. I'll be honest with you. It's really hard for me to find anything that I liked about this movie. I thought it was one of the weakest outings of the MCU. I mean, I would put it above maybe, I mean, Dark World, Iron Man 3, Guardians 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that's about it. I was really bored throughout a lot of the movie. I felt like it just it didn't like, and I know like what you're saying about like it's supposed to reset the MCU, but I didn't feel that at all.
Mhm.
And it didn't even, outside of a couple references to like Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Captain America and Thanos, it didn't really even feel like a Marvel movie to me. It felt like it was just kind of like a sci-fi action movie. So it's real hard for me to find anything that I really enjoyed in this movie. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I didn't really like it that much.
That's fair. I mean, like you sound like a lot of the reviews too. And I think what hurts this movie is there was going to be a movie, no matter what, in the MCU that was going to come along and had to reset
Yeah,
the
sure.
MCU. And it
But that's
happened to
what I
be this
mean.
one.
I don't think it
Well,
did though.
well,
Like,
what I'm saying is like it's so hard to do that. Is my actual point. I don't know when you have to introduce a new team of heroes. Uh, I think that was the struggle with it. I walked away like I like this movie in a sense of like I don't love it. It's not it's not the first Avengers. It's not Winter Soldier by any means.
right.
I'm not. But the thing I will say, and it was like it got me, and not that I need to be more excited about things, but it did get me a little bit more excited at least. Okay, so we have characters from space that aren't the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that actually made me happy because like Janie and I were talking about it. And I was like, I got so tired of Guardians of the Galaxy, like from the very beginning in a way, but I got tired of it always having to be funny
Mhm.
when when serious matters were at hand. And so that's what I actually ended up like taking away from this is, yeah, maybe it was a little slow, but almost to me felt, and we have Chloe Zhao, who was, Academy,
Right. Nomadland.
for Nomadland.
Yeah.
So I think this almost, and for better or worse, this felt more just like a movie.
Yeah.
And if this had just been a movie and not we don't see Captain America throwing his shield, I
Right.
think people look at this movie entirely differently. I really do. And like I said, that's for good and bad. That hurts it in the sense of being an MCU movie, starting things over. I think what we get from this movie, though, like I said too, the ending made me more excited because the characters that we are getting from this movie and what we lost, like the characters we lost from this movie, don't really hurt things going forward, and the characters we gain really add a lot more into the lore of Marvel.
So okay. Spoilers are
Red
incoming
lights,
for
proof.
the movie. So that way we don't have to beat around the bush any longer. And we'll get to the mid and the end credit scenes as well as some of the other things. I just like where I'm at with this is I don't understand, and maybe this very well could be a me problem. I don't understand, or maybe it's rather that I think this is going to have major implications for the MCU, and this is going to reset the MCU is really overblown, especially in the wake of Loki, the Loki finale introducing the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't see how this was anything, grand in terms of like we're establishing who the next big bad guy is. I mean, maybe we are, and maybe this is one of those things where it's almost like you can't. We've talked a little bit about how like Endgame and Infinity War made the original Doctor Strange a better movie. Like that, in theory, that doesn't make sense, but when you're dealing with the MCU as a whole, it does. And so maybe there's stuff out there that ties into this, and we need to stop. Like, we almost have to stop judging these things as a singularity, single movie sort of deal. Right. But I thought that them saying that I was expecting more. I was expecting like, well, the Eternals is going to have major implications for the MCU. Okay, what does that mean? Are we going to see Kang? Because it seems to me like they established with Loki that Kang is going to be the next big bad. I'm not really sure at this point. And I think that this is the correlation I'm going to make, right? When we did the MCU review over the summer, we did phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? And we kind of agreed that phase 1, especially watching it now, it like hit all the nostalgia beats of you're seeing these characters for the first time sort of deal. And so phase 1 is pretty much uniformly good, right? And then phase 2 is realistically kind of weak outside of Winter Soldier. And it's all just to get to phase 3. And I feel like they're almost in like this weird spot where it's like, well, you had 23 movies with the OG Avengers, and everybody knows what's on the horizon in terms of big name characters. And you can say whatever you want about people don't care about the X-Men or whatever, but as soon as you see those fucking claws go up for Wolverine, everybody's going to lose their goddamn minds. And that's just what it is. And I was actually texting or messaging with Guillermo from Tournament Style about the movie, because he'd seen it the same day as I did. And I said, part of the problem is they're in this weird transitional phase where they have to leave behind the OG Avengers as we move forward towards these other popular characters, and filling that gap is going to be kind of very obscure characters. And this is almost like comics, right? I mean, it is comics.
Yeah.
Because it is almost like comics, because after 70 years of Captain America, it's like, well, we've got to try some different shit. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's why you get characters like the Eternals, or like the Nova Corps, or like weird teams like Alpha Flight and shit like that. And sometimes that stuff works and sometimes it just doesn't. And I think for me personally, this was a case of, we always say make something new. We want new characters, stuff like that. Shang-Chi was a hit for me. No pun intended, with him being a kung fu guy, but Shang-Chi was a huge hit for me. It was exactly what I wanted out of a new character. It introduced something new in terms of the kung fu style and stuff like that to the Marvel universe.
Right.
But I felt like it stayed, and maybe it was the Wong thing. And you kind of alluded to that with like, there was no like real cameo within this movie that like to get people pumped up or whatever. And you at least knew that you were going to see Wong, and we all knew we were going to see Ben Kingsley and stuff like that in Shang-Chi. Maybe that was helpful. But I just didn't care about any of these characters. And that's a problem when you have characters who are, Tony Stark is beloved 5 minutes into Iron Man. Steve Rogers is jumping on grenades and showing you the whole mantra of not a perfect soldier, but a good man, and you fall in love with him. Everybody loves Peter Parker from the jump. All of these characters, and then even some of the characters that people were less familiar with, like Black Panther, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, stuff like that. Like they were immediately endearing, whereas none of these characters were like, I'm behind this person. This guy is cool. This girl, this character is awesome. I can't wait to see more of that. So I think that's just kind of like where I'm at, is like, I just felt like the characters weren't presented in a way that made them super likable or like endearing in any way. And I just feel like they're like, Marvel in general is in this weird transitional period where they're going to have to try to throw some things at the wall and hope some of it sticks. And for me, this didn't.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I can agree with what you were saying. I think I kind of looked at it in a different way of just looking at it as like maybe sticking away from Marvel, which is, maybe what I shouldn't have done. I like I said, like, it's not it's not going to be in my top 15 favorite Marvel movies. I didn't think about ranking it off the top of my head or anything like that. But the thing I will say is what I liked, the other things I liked, and we can, since we're spoiling things, I like the Icarus turn that none of us saw, and where he is like, I don't know if we
I think it was fairly predictable.
Well, you knew there was gonna be some sort of turn, but I don't think it was so. He actually kills the leader of the, and he's turning with like not even the bad guy. Like, you don't know what's good or bad. Like, we understand that getting rid of Earth is
not
taking
ideal.
away getting rid of killing billions of lives to create hundreds of billions of lives. That's the idea, and that it comes with like obviously existential questions that we don't need to get into on here. But so I think that was like a cool turn on that end.
Sounds like genocide.
I liked it. Yeah. So it's like another kind of Thanos, but a different Thanos kind of idea.
Efficient.
And efficient. Yeah, it is. It would have been super efficient. I like that some people just were killed off. Like, people in their group were just killed off. And it's like, we're not going to worry about bringing these people further. We don't know what happened to, the group that, just disappeared. So I will agree with you. Like, remembering everyone's names is a little tough because it is 10 superheroes. That's tough. If they would have given us like 12 Avengers, that would have been rough. They picked a good number with the Avengers. They picked the most popular characters. That was really, really helpful. I did like the way it ended with, it's very like out there, obscure. We're in space. And then we get what happens, post credits.
Right. We'll get to that shortly.
Yeah. And so I thought, for me, like I said, it wasn't the greatest movie. I looked at it more of like just a general movie. Had this just been called like, not the Eternals, I don't know, like whatever you could give it, maybe called the Eternals, but it's just not an MCU movie. And it's everything else except that we don't get a Doctor Strange reference in there.
Right.
And, and it doesn't have Captain America throwing a shield at the beginning. I think people probably look at it differently. I really do. It just had that thing. It has the problem that, will always haunt any movie that isn't at least good, like almost perfect. Because that's kind of where you have to be at with Marvel movies now.
I don't even think you have to be almost perfect.
Like perfect Marvel movies, though. You have to hit all those, like, you got to be funny a lot of the times. You have to have the right amount of action. I think this movie was obviously done by someone that was more thinking about a movie than thinking about a Marvel movie.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's, but I don't disagree with what you were saying. I see your end of it, and I'm not saying that I'm right. I think it was one of those things where I wasn't expecting a lot. And so since I got a little bit more than what I was expecting, which is like a plot twist, a good, like a solid enough ending, a thing where everyone's kind of a bad guy, which I like that in a way, you don't know who's, good or bad. And then an ending that, and then like enough of the characters that remain that I think we keep the characters that probably were the most important people characters left in the movie. We cut the fat and we move forward to whatever. My guess is that they appear, there's a reference probably in the Doctor Strange movie. That's my next guess on when, not necessarily someone appears, but at least there's a reference or something.
Well, and this is the other thing with me is like, now that we've gotten to where we are and we have the Avengers, you know what I mean? It's like their job is supposed to be keeping an eye out for things like, giant celestial hands coming out of the ocean. Like, where the hell are the rest of the, like, it's getting to be, it's almost becoming, and this is what's actually making me appreciate Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit more, is it's almost becoming small universe syndrome, where it's like, why the hell does all the bad stuff happen on Earth? You know what I mean? It's like, wow, what are the odds that 3 Infinity Stones and this celestial seed and this and this and this and this and this?
That's to make people see a movie, though. If it's not happening to us, then nobody cares. That's literally the thing. If it's not happening to us, then no one cares.
But I do think like that's kind of like what's making me appreciate Guardians a little bit more, is because it does take us into different realms, so to speak. I do think that the Rotten Tomato score is low. I wouldn't say that this is
It's
46.
insanely no. I mean, that
Yeah.
also, like, Rotten Tomatoes, as we've learned, the older you get with Rotten Tomatoes, the more you know that that's just a crock of crap.
Yeah, sure.
And it's not weighted or anything. And it's,
Right.
every, Tim, John, Dick, and Joe is getting,
that's on
papers no one's ever heard of
yeah.
count just as much as, the best, the guy. The A.O. Scott gets the same amount of credit as someone that writes for a newspaper and, freaking Bakersfield out here in California. So that's like a weird, never watched a movie their entire life, but somehow they have a job and they can, that's the weird thing about it.
I think we need to have our own. See, on Metacritic, so on Rotten Tomatoes, the average user score is 8 and the critical score is 4.6. On Metacritic, it's 52 for user or critical and 6.5 for user. I would say that's probably where I'm at. I'm probably in like the 6 to 6.5 range.
I was gonna say I'm probably a 7.
Yeah.
I like
it. Was just
fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I would have changed to make it.
That's my
the
thing,
hard part. It's like, what do you change? Like, how would you do it differently? And
how would you make it better? I guess make it funnier, but then we're actually talking. That's what I'm saying. Like, in the Marvel scheme of things, that's how they always end up making something better. That isn't.
That's
that
true.
Isn't.
That is
like
true.
the Guardians. If the Guardians doesn't have any humor, I'm putting a bullet in my knee. I mean, those movies are just like, the more we've watched them too, the rougher they are for me. And like, I understand what you're saying. Like, at least we're getting out into space, but I mean, that when we rewatched Guardians, the second one, the
second one's not good.
I mean, that was just rough.
But I would
think it's
say
time to hit the spoilers soon.
This kind of, I know you're chomping at the bit for that one.
Oh, I am.
I think that I had something. I think that this kind of reminded me in a way of the early Thor movies, because it was like we talked about in our MCU thing. They're very acty. You know what I mean? They're very like almost like stage play. Like, and I think that, and if you look at it, the director, Chloe Zhao, Nomadland, and you look at the guys who did the first couple Thor movies, they kind of are all cut from that same cloth. So that kind of makes sense. Before we move on, well, let's do the mid. We'll do the mid and the end credits first before we talk about maybe where we see this franchise going in the future. The mid credits scene, we saw Pip the Troll.
Patton Oswalt.
Voiced by Patton Oswalt. Who was left on the ship that left Earth? It was Druig, Fast Girl, and
Druig.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through my head of all. I know, like, I can see
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Yeah, I just couldn't, for a reason I could not think of Thena.
Right, Thena Druig and Fast Girl, whose name is, I still don't know. Melika Licky Laka or something like that.
Not Fastos. Just
no, which would have made sense. Right. So they kind of take the Eternal ship and they're kind of going out to try to find more Eternals, right?
Yeah.
So then like a portal or something opens and Pip the Troll wanders through, and I immediately knew. I was like, oh, it's Pip the Troll, like before any type of introduction, voiced by Patton Oswalt. And then we get Thanos's brother.
That's right.
Also a half Eternal.
Yeah.
And his name is Star Fox.
Eros.
Yeah. What was his other name though?
Star Fox and Eros.
No, it's not Star Fox. Fox is a Nintendo character.
No, he was nicknamed Eros. I forget which character in the 80s. It was early 80s. He was literally called Star Fox because he was a foxy guy. I'm not kidding. He's a space traveler. That's literally his nickname. It's
literally Star Fox. Jesus Christ.
So from the early 80s.
Played by Harry Styles.
I can't remember which character gave him that. Yeah, played by Harry Styles, to which I gave a little squeal and grabbed Jenny's leg. Because, as we know, I'm a big Harry Styles fan. And he's also like this weird, like, sexual guy that has like an actual sketchy history with the comic books. But Harry Styles? Harry Styles is just a fantastic human being. praised by all, loved by all. Arrows
that
is like,
is not at all true.
there's a whole She-Hulk thing with Arrows. I mean,
Okay.
She-Hulk is like a whole tongue-in-cheek like comic book anyhow, making fun of society at large all the time. And there's a whole thing about Arrows. Look it up. I mean, we don't need to get into it. But that got me pumped, just in the fact that it's Thanos' brother, who in the comic book actually brings Thanos back to life.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're going to go that direction.
I don't think.
But in the movies, but he is someone that, you know, has, you know, obviously mythical, spacey powers. It'll be fun to see. It'll be fun because obviously they can't do what he did in the comic books and get away with that. So it'll be fun to see what they do with him, because Harry Styles is obviously now a part of this MCU, and that has many people excited. So I think that's a good start, because he's obviously going to add humor, because his character has to be funny. So this is where they're going to get the humor on this side of things. His character is definitely going to be flirty and all those weird, you know, all those things that will just make this space odyssey, I think, fun. And then we have another really good
first of all,
yeah.
When Harry Styles came on screen, I was like, well, this is where I jump off the Marvel train. It's been a good run.
You jump off?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I don't need Harry Styles in
why don't you him as an act, like, why?
Nah.
He's a good looking dude. He's, you know, he's funny. He's going to take this real seriously.
You know what? Not for me.
Yeah, but he's going to be good, man. You wait. He's going to be good. He's going to.
What happens when he's not?
He's going to be good. I have no doubt that he's going to be good.
What happens if he isn't?
If he isn't good, I will be the first person to admit it. If he sucks in when he's actually the thing is too, is he's never going to be the star of any of these movies. He's going to be Eros, who, if you look at any of the comic books where Eros is in, it's always like, hello, I'm this guy. Hi, I'm this guy. Hi, I'm Eros. And he's like in the background, because he's Thanos's like little like sketch brother.
Right.
He's going to be there. He's literally just going to be in these movies for like comic relief.
Well, if he's not good, I will be the first one to sit here and say, I told you so. The end credits scene showed Kid Harington, Dane, blah, 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 blah.
McCary is Fast Girl. McCary.
Okay. Dane, what's his name? Dane Cook?
What?
Dane Lady Dench.
Oh, Dane Whitman.
Dane Whitman. He learns that he's got an interesting family lineage, and there's this sword. His character is the Black Knight, and he's debating on whether he touches the sword or picks the sword up. And as he's about to, an ominous voice voices over and says something to the effect of, are you sure you're ready for that? Yeah. And it is the voice of Blade, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then I did a little research on that, and it appears as though that the Black Knight and Blade were once on a team with Union Jack and Captain Britain. So if that becomes a thing, if we bring in Blade, which we already know we're getting Blade, right?
Yes.
Black Knight, Union Jack, and for those of you out there who don't know who Union Jack is, he's a guy that's basically like Captain America, except his suit is the Union Jack, which is another name for the British flag. And then Captain Britain, who is just Captain America, only British. I will shit my actual pants. And what I mean by that is if like on Disney Investor Day, Kevin Feige comes out and he's like, well, we're bringing together Captain Britain, Union Jack, the Black Knight, and Blade for this ridiculous team up, I will sit in this chair and I will produce fecal matter into my own pants. And I don't know if that's for good or bad. I
mean, it'd be hilarious.
Talk about bringing out some random characters and throwing them against the wall and seeing what sticks.
I don't think that'll happen.
I hope they bring out Union Jack.
That'd be hilarious.
Hilarious.
It would be so funny.
It'd be like having Polka Dot Man in a movie, or fucking Condiment King.
Yep. I mean, which, we got Polka Dot Man, so we're still waiting for Condiment King. And
I hope Condiment King is the secret bad guy, like the secret final bad guy in the Batman.
That would be amazing.
It's like, oh my God, Riddler and Penguin, and behind the scenes is fucking Condiment King.
So In the Black Knight, the biggest thing about the sword is that it's like one of the strongest materials in the universe. It can cut through everything.
It gives you power through your negative emotions.
Yeah. So eventually it kind of turns you terrible, really bad. Unless you're completely of pure heart.
Right.
There is that, which how many people are. So and that should be an interesting, thing going forward. And you're not going to give Kid Harington like you're not going to give him a role that isn't going to be important.
He's really little.
Yeah.
He's like 5'6" or something like that.
I think he's like 5'5" or 5'6". There's that's pretty funny about him.
I'm not making fun of short people by 5'8". He's 5'8". I'm not making fun of short people by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just really weird for like Jon Snow, the King of the North, to be 5'8". I heard this on another podcast, so I'm kind of quoting it, but anyway,
he's a little guy.
He's a small fella. But anyway,
a lot of people are much smaller than they're, that's what the power of movies, the movie magic.
Yeah, sure. So to kind of wrap this up, Chloe Zhao said that this does not require sequels. However, Salma Hayek has signed on for multiple films. And at the end of the day, this is Marvel and they want to make everything into a franchise. Mm-hmm. So do we see some version of the Eternals 2? Do we see Chloe Zhao back in the director's chair, or do we just resolve the story arc of these characters through, the other franchises? Because like I was thinking about this was that like Icarus, and we touched on the twist. Icarus, I feel like could be the bad guy in the Marvels, or like Captain Marvel too.
Oh sure,
like he's floating around now, and he's got mixed whatever.
He's got a lot going on.
How do you think that this resolves?
I think if we get Eternals 2, it will be a completely different storyline than what we're facing now. I think we would have had a lot more resolved from the other movies. And we could be talking 4 years from now as Eternals 2, with this storyline wrapped up and they're doing something different. And I think it would almost be in the middle of the next phase or something like that. Like they won't be starting a phase. They will be just a part of the movie or of the universe. They're not going to be the important part. They're not going to be an unimportant part. They're just going to be there. In there to whatever degree. Like I said, I think that's the only way Eternals 2 works, because now what we have in the pipeline is what we have been waiting for.
Right.
We get Spider-Man, we get Thor, we get Doctor Strange, we get the Marvels, Black Panther 2. Okay, so we have those 5. Every one of those at worst is going to be really good.
Most likely.
Best, going to be insane. Like my level of excitement, I mean, I'm very excited for Spider-Man, but my level of excitement for Thor, Love and Thunder is as high as I can get for these movies. I really do. I think that's going to be just, whether it's super important, I don't know, but I think it's going to be really incredible. If it's not incredible, I'll be sad. That's the thing where I'm at with that. So this is all led us to this. This has led us to this basically, one for the thumb, we're going after. I don't know. Yeah. Can you think of a time in Marvel where we're going to have 5 straight movies that are like this? I'm this excited. Okay. What was the 5 in a row for phase 3? I'm just trying to think of, it was 5. I thought it was 4.
3 was in phase 3. You got Civil War, Ragnarok, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame.
What I'll say about why I think
now there was movies in between there, because like Doctor Strange slotted in there somewhere. And
so my thing is like
Captain
this is
Marvel,
5 movies where we know, like the thing is we didn't know what we were getting with Ragnarok. We were actually everyone was kind of low. This is where when I'm talking about the hype train. Oh yeah, pretty high. Like looking back, those movies were awesome. But I'm talking looking forward.
Yeah, sure.
We get whatever this means for Spider-Man. Sadness.
Apparently, shut the fuck up, Tom Holland.
Apparently, just It's just going to be a dashboard confessional or something stupid.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and then we get, the rest of these movies. So I think hype level very high. If this is the movie that, had to start things off and, like we said,
Sure.
if it's rerouting, we don't know. And we could look back maybe 3 years from now and be like, oh,
it did say the Eternals will return.
Right. But that doesn't, we've seen like Spider-Man will return and then he's in, whatever. I mean, like they're in other movies.
They're going to be around though. That's the thing.
They're going to be around for sure. And I think they should be, because they're going to be the people that the Eternals that are left are important characters, seemingly important. So I think what we have now is we're going to have bangers from the MCU, nothing but.
Here's hoping.
I'm
going to tell you, this is my honest to God opinion. The best movie the best Marvel movie that's going to come out in the next year. Okay. Cause you can throw in like Morbius into that. Cause that's technically a Marvel movie, right? This is just me. Right. And this is indicative of who I am. The next best the best Marvel movie on the horizon is not an MCU. It's not an MCU movie. Okay. It's October 7th, 2022, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. That's going to be the best one.
It could be.
And
that doesn't mean that these aren't going to be awesome.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you haven't seen Spider-Verse Into the Spider-Verse, check it out.
Because you're an idiot if you're not. If you haven't.
Well, I mean, sometimes people just don't see things and then
because they're stupid.
But go and see that because you're gonna love it.
To answer the question from 2 weeks ago when Ty asked, "What am I excited for?" Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
That's what I'm excited for.
You're not excited for like Thor though?
Well, yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I'm excited for all that.
I think Thor is going to be the best movie out of all these.
There's a pretty good chance that's.
I think Thor is going to be the best because I think we have Chris Hemsworth as maybe like knowing he's the lead. Yeah, he's the best. We have him as the best version leading because he is an Avenger.
Right.
So he's that, Doctor Strange is not an Avenger in this scheme of things. That movie, I think, will be very weird.
Yeah, I think it's going to be weird. So to boil things down for the Eternals, what is your final recommendation?
I mean, I would say, if you're an MCU person, you got to see it. I mean, that's just, you have to see it to just support the MCU and to go forward. I think it's good. To me, it's good enough to watch it. I'm glad I saw it in the first week, and I'm glad I got to read. I read a lot of different. It was so funny after all the negative reviews. So I go and read the normal things that I read, and then everyone I read was like, they liked it. So it was sort of funny. I'm like, all I saw was negative reviews, and then I read just the normal stuff that I read, not looking for a positive or negative, just reading the stuff that I normally read, and like, well, what I liked about it, and all this stuff, and like kind of downplaying the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing. So, like I said, it's like a 7. I'd say if I'm going out of 10, I'd say like a 7.2. I mean, it's good enough for me. It's a good enough storyline to keep me going. Not just Harry Styles aside. That was a cherry on top for me. But the rest of it was, still a fine Sunday.
Yeah. For me, honestly, it's a wait until Disney Plus. I wouldn't see this in the theaters. And that's the thing is, for me, it's important to point out that we pay for all the movies that we watch on here, especially the ones that we see in theaters. And then all the things that, I fucking bought Beetlejuice on Amazon Prime when we did that. So it's important, like we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Yes.
But for me, this is if you're on the fence, wait until Disney Plus. I do like you said, for the Marvel thing, you have to watch it, but as long as you want to stay on top of it. But I would wait until this was on Disney Plus. I wouldn't go out and see it. I wouldn't pay money to see this movie again. So that's me.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to see it again until it's on Disney Plus.
No, I'm saying for like
right. No, I just meant like I'm not going to see it twice in theaters. There's a good chance that I see the next 5 movies. I'd probably see all of them at least twice in the theater.
So the next Marvel thing is Hawkeye, which will start here in about 2 weeks. Actually, a little less than 2 weeks from. We'll have the first review for the first 2 episodes because they're doing 2 episodes on the night before Thanksgiving. So we will have 2 episodes or 2 episode review on the first week in 2 weeks. Yeah. So there's that. Okay.
All right, moving on to number 2 in people that are also eternal. We move to the challenge.
Yeah.
Sweet MTV The Challenge. The competitors compete in a Top Gun Maverick challenge, which I did not see coming at all. That really threw me.
Indeed.
That was crazy. And like, no, I love when they went to the cast and there was no Tom Cruise. But anyhow,
right.
So it's like whoever these people are, whatever. They compete in a challenge where they must collect 25 puzzle pieces, and then from those, in and around a submerged plane, and recreate a puzzle board. A team besides the Emerald team, the Sapphire team, led by puzzle czars CT and Ashley, won the day. Amanda made the case to be voted so that she could sabotage Emerald. She was voted in by the agency, and before she could call down Big T, we learned Ashley broke her role and was sent home. This announcement was left ambiguous, but insider accounts revealed she used a homophobic slur at the mixer off camera and was subsequently deactivated. As such, despite the fact that Amanda defeated Big T in the Escape the Vault elimination, she was allowed to stay and rejoin the Ruby cell. Amanda was given the choice to infiltrate, and she took Tori's spot on Emerald, moving Tori to weekly loser Ruby. So this episode was a lot, I thought. Like it was a very dramatic episode. That just was my first takeaway.
Just as an aside, I'm sure that they recorded this Top Gun challenge thing prior to Top Gun being delayed again, because now it's not coming out until like May of 22. Well, so my guess is.
But when was it going to come out? Yeah, when was it going to come out this fall? Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember when it was going to come out. Yeah,
so I'm sure they thought that they were going to be syncing it up, but
yeah,
they're not, and it was weird without Tom Cruise. I was like, I hate it when people get like, I hate it when people get deactivated or taken off the show or edited out the show and there's no context. Like there's there's no explanation given. It was just, well, she broke a rule. Well, which one was it? You know what I mean? Did she shoot heroin in the bathroom? I mean, what was going on? So I kind of like looked around on the internet and found,
I did too,
from several spoiler accounts that I guess she allegedly used a homophobic slur against Josh, and allegedly Josh and somebody else made a big stink about it to get her sent home. I don't know if that part's true or if it was just, hey, you can't say that sort of thing and now you have to leave. So there was that, and it was almost like even though Sapphire team won, they lost. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they lost, arguably their best girl, 2-time champion. Whether she's a champion in the same way Jawan Howard is an NBA champion is up for debate, but she's a 2-time champion nonetheless.
She has been competing well this. I will say this.
Yeah, she killed her really elimination.
Good this season. Yeah, she's been really good this season.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, and I even said, as they were lining up to compete in the elimination, I even said to Melissa, I was like, I can't believe that they're even going to do an elimination, because this late in the game, there's no replacements. I'm surprised that they're not just going to let it ride. And so it was kind of, I guess you had to give the opportunity to somebody to infiltrate and go into another team, which was why they ran the elimination anyway, despite, the deactivation. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this episode was kind of like, I really felt the case that was made by the Emerald team for her to not infiltrate, which was, hey, we want to keep this team together and you're kind of being mean to us, was really lame, given the fact that she was just making the best decision for her game.
Devin's like, you're being selfish. And she's like, this is a selfish game. Like, this is...
I was actually really happy she said that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was picking her as my dark horse there, whereas last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and I actually like her more and more each week, because she's really what the show is.
Yeah.
Is what her mentality is. And I feel like some people like Devin, at the end of the day, like you're gonna
have to run it by yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do this by yourself. Like, who cares what team you're on? This is the thing. And as much as I like Devin, I think we both like Devin as like someone on this show that brings at least some entertainment. I mean, he hasn't won anything. He doesn't win anything. Right. And so he's scared. and she called him out on it. I mean, he was like, one thing was weird is they were saying, well, he's getting under her skin. It's like, no, he wasn't. She was not getting under her skin at all. She was killing him. If that was an actual like high school debate, he would have lost. He would have lost 10 zip. I mean, it's just he had nothing. He was making all these points that were like completely irrelevant. I felt bad. Made me feel gross for Devin. Honestly, I was like, Devin, I don't know if you're better than this, but you're at least smarter than this.
Yeah.
And you're just throwing, you've given up. Like at this point, he had just given up. I didn't like that. I thought that was a really bad look on him. I thought this episode, not just because Amanda won, but also because she like was pointing out how these games work, was like a huge bonus point to me on Amanda. Like I liked her already just from previous things, but like this really boosted her up in my book. And then Big T being able to come back was funny to me. That was just because she pretended like she was surprised. That was like some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It's like she came out, she was, what's going on?
What's going on?
I'll have to be brave. Got to be brave again. And we love Big T, but it was just like her acting on that was real bad. So she better stick to the show. So she doesn't, I don't think anything else. Yeah. So, nothing was surprising. We knew where this was going kind of all along. I did like the elimination challenge. I thought that was actually a good, because you have to do something sort of physical, but you also have to have a somewhat of a plan. It's not a puzzle, but yeah, I thought that was a nice like final challenge.
Yeah.
The Top Gun challenge I thought was dumb though. I'll be like they are in a plane, but they're not. So I thought like make them fly a plane.
There's no real danger
here. Right. Make them actually fly a plane. And if they die, they die.
There's no real danger unless you're somehow not dexterous enough to unbuckle a seatbelt. Then there's very, very real danger.
Then there's real danger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the one thing where it's like, it's a Top Gun thing. They don't actually have to do anything that's actually Top Gun related.
No, so they just were jumping.
They should have just played beach volleyball in jean shorts.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Right. That would have made more sense. Have we talked about the fact that CT is going to be in a movie? Another movie?
No. No.
Did you know this?
I did not know this.
You didn't know this?
No, I didn't.
Oh my goodness.
It happens.
Hold on. Okay.
Over my radar, under my radar. I'm not sure how that works.
CT is going to be starring in a remake of 1930s.
Goodfellas.
1930s The Most Dangerous Game, alongside Oscar-nominated actor Tom Berenger. So
Tom Berenger and CT.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't know how that slipped. Like that was announced at the beginning of November. I don't know how
that just announced slip. These sometimes those weird things slip under my radar.
I knew about it and I totally forgot. This is his second movie. He was in a horror movie as well.
Yeah, I knew he was in a horror movie. I can't think of the title. I've never seen it. Habitual.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Right.
I could see here's the peak CT beyond the show is he shows up in like a Boston Scorsese movie.
Sure.
As like, but like good. Like I can honestly say like you'd see him, and I'm not even trying to be like Bill Simmons or something like that, but I could see him showing up in a Boston Scorsese mob movie and people walk away and be like, I don't know who that guy was, but he killed it with the Boston accent. And he'd be like, well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Actually from Southie.
He could have been like Mr. French in The Departed.
Yeah. He definitely could have been
that, like just like a tough guy, basically.
Yeah.
Like wear one of those hats that they wear.
Because he's like 40 now, 39, 40.
He's over 40, I think.
So yeah, but like, so he's got a good 20-year run here of showing up in a Scorsese movie as like the tough guy. Oh, I would
41. 41.
Make it happen, Marty.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Or, even just like a Matt Damon, Ben Affleck thing, like The Town.
Green Light Project.
Yeah, something like that. He could have been in The Town, been a tough guy in The Town.
Yeah, he definitely could have been. Yeah, he could have been.
Anyway, so we're down to the Sapphire Cell has 3 people. The Ruby Cell has 4 people, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Emerald Cell has still six, but swap out Amanda for Tori, which makes them maybe a little smarter, but not as physically strong.
I will say on that end of things, and I have no issue with Tori, but also her thing was just a little annoying too. And I like Tori Norman. It was a little bit. I mean, I know that this is TV, so
yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was a little. Everything was a little too dramatic in this show. And
right.
Like I said, it's TV, and you have to be dramatic. But there's also a point where like you become so dramatic where I don't take it seriously anymore, and now you're just so. I hope that tames down a little bit going to next week because Amanda is still good at what she does. But yeah, she's not as physical as Tori, but she is at least smart enough to do things. I don't think Emerald is at all the favorite. I think kind of this challenge proved that when you have too many people,
is
you
it
have
not
too
still
many...
an individual thing though? Like that's what I don't understand.
That's my thing. And it's like I look at Emerald as too many cooks in the kitchen because they couldn't do that plane challenge to save their lives.
Right.
Like they had no idea what they were doing with 6 people. And at this point, I think, I mean, whatever CT is doing, his squad is still, I think, the favorite. Because he's the smartest and the strongest person left.
Yeah.
And that is the key, is you have the smartest and the strongest. That's why we need a Bananas CT season.
Well, I think with him doing this movie, he's probably taking a break.
He's probably going to take, Bananas isn't going to be in the next season. I know that. Or at least I'm pretty confident based on things that he said. Okay. So there might be a thing where they're not in the next season, which is a real bummer because we don't have Wes either.
Right.
So we're not going to have Wes, CT, or Bananas in the next season. That's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
So I guess as it's wide open, double Nelly T, friend of the program.
So male favorite, female favorite, dark horses for each.
CT, like we've said all along, CT's male favorite. Female favorite. God, I don't even know at this point. Because Amanda was my female, or not my female favorite, but she was like Firehouse.
Dark horse.
I'll say Casey is my female favorite.
Yeah.
Just I switched off of that, but now I think that, injury aside, and I don't know what that means being on that squad, but Casey, just like no one comes after her either. And she has so many friends. This episode proved that friendship stuff too, which was always kind of annoying to me on the show.
So real quick with that, the Nelson walking up and down the path.
Yes.
And Kyle and Devin doing like the jokes about like, this is the rock that Corey and I used to walk over.
Yes.
I was losing it. That was amazing.
I had to pause it to laugh because I was like, I got to hear what they're actually saying. Yeah, that was
he turns around, he's like, what? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so dark horses for each.
I'm gonna say dark horses big T for me. It's one of those weird things where like she got brought back. So now I'm not sure. Like there might be just something in the weeds. We don't know what's going on the rest of the season. That's my thing. I just don't know. I would love my dark horse to be Nani, but I don't think I can pick Casey as my favorite and then Nani as my dark horse. I think it had to be one of those two. Plus Nani, as much as I enjoy her, she was a little weird in this episode too. Kind of threw me off the scent. Didn't like that.
Well, she didn't throw any noodles at anybody. My favorite for the men, I think everything kind of stays the same for me. CT is obviously the favorite until he's eliminated on the men's side, and I think Josh is my dark horse, and then Casey's my favorite with Emmy is my dark horse. That's where I'm at.
Emmy's so great. I just
she doesn't have to do
anything, but impress Tom Cruise. Like that was funny too. She wanted to impress Tom Cruise, and like Tom Cruise is not watching this. No.
Moving on.
Other superheroes.
3. Yeah. Superheroes who can't stop talking. Marvel and Tom Holland need to shut up. Put up or shut up about No Way Home. The film, which is still just over a month out, has been subject to leaks galore and constant talking points. Holland, speaking in numerous forums, to promote the film has called it, quote, sad, brutal, and the end of the trilogy, and end quote. Additionally, in an Empire magazine spread and a recent movie poster, the confirmation of Sandman, Lizard, and Green Goblin appearances recently seemingly confirmed the appearance of the long-rumored Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Meanwhile, despite all the rumors, leaks, and Tom Holland foolery, we are a month away from release and have still only gotten one trailer. This is somewhat out of character for Marvel, as recent releases Shang-Chi and the Eternals saw up to 4 trailers before launch.
Okay, so I had an initial theory, but then I changed my theory. I think that that Marvel Studios gave Tom Holland the wrong copy of No Way Home intentionally because they know he can't shut his fucking mouth.
Right.
He thinks it's going to be sad and depressing, and then there's actually an alternate ending that he hasn't seen.
Right, where there's
and
a
it's
clown.
Actually not. Yeah, that he has no idea what happens because of this exact thing, because he can't shut up, and it's just. I really enjoy Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but he literally can't shut up. And they know that. So they're like, hey, Tom, here's this version where you get stabbed by Zendaya. And
It's
like
sad and brutal.
Sad and brutal. And then there's actually a thing where he defeats all Sinister Six. And I don't know. But it was just so weird. Like, the one trailer. The poster with the Green Goblin in the background, which was so funny. It's like, which was funny to me too. Is like people was like, "Oh my god, did you see this?" It's like, yeah, I'm not a moron,
right?
Like anyone that was circling was like, "Let's zoom in." It's like, yeah, I saw it the second the poster came out. Are you thinking? Do you think I'm a moron? Do you think we're stupid?
Here's my question: is it Willem Dafoe or is it James Franco? It's Willem Dafoe. Franco's too. Disney's not touching Franco right now.
Nobody's touching Franco right now, and it has to be Willem Dafoe. I'm a bit of a scientist myself.
Yeah.
So which is like, I have no problem. This is what I'll say. I have no problem with these characters being brought back. I don't care about that because I actually really like these characters. We've always said Spider-Man's villains are the most interesting by far
in the Marvel universe.
In Marvel, unless you're talking about Magneto. I think Magneto
and Dr. Doom. But I mean, we've said this as a rogues gallery sort of deal.
As a rogues gallery, the best villains, actually villainous, not a lot of like actual caring about humanity, which I like. Not the opposite of like not Spider-Man fighting against Spider-Man. These are people that just don't give a crap, and Spider-Man's trying to, take things down. I like all this. What I don't like is that they're almost playing us for idiots when we're 26 movies in, and that annoys me. And I as much as when we talked about the Eternals, I was on the side of like enjoying that movie, and they didn't play us for dumb in that. They did not do that. But with Spider-Man, if you're playing us for being stupid, then like get ready if this movie is not great, because people are going to come down on it so hard if it doesn't meet expectations, because this is like, you're playing everyone for stupid. You put a poster out like that. You have obviously people that are just like in on it, circling the Green Goblin. Like I said, like we're stupid, the sand, all this stuff. And it's like, don't do this. Just either put out another trailer. I don't care about posters. I don't give a crap about that. Either put another trailer or shut up until the movie comes out. Shut up until the movie comes out. Nobody needs to hear anything, and just let the movie do the talking.
I think that the MCU will be in deep shit if this movie does not meet expectations. I think the Eternals not meeting expectations, or critically what have you, I don't think that that's a huge deal.
No.
It will be a big deal if this does not meet expectations.
Right.
It will be a just next level problem. But I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that this is probably going to meet expectations. I don't know if it'll exceed expectations, because the reality of it is that I think, this is just my opinion, Tom Holland Spider-Man has been like kind of a mixed bag for me. Great in Homecoming. Far
Mhm.
From Home, not as good. And then he, smaller roles, but did very
That
well.
movie's just not as good though, too. In fairness to him, that movie's just a weird movie.
I mean, I don't like, he's the star of it, so he's got to bear some of that burden.
Sure.
I mean,
but there's still writing and directing going on in that movie that I thought was a bit off.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that some of the, like, if you're the star of the movie, then you have to lay, because I've said this, I don't think Tom Holland's a good actor. I think that he plays Peter Parker well because he is Peter Parker. Like, he's just a dorky kid, basically. And that's why he works, and everything else that he's been in has bombed. And just like Uncharted's going to bomb. And so, like, that's part of, like, that's part of it for me, is like, can this guy carry it? And that's why we have to bring back Toby, and that's why we have to bring back Garfield, and that's why we have to bring in all these villains, because maybe he's just not good enough to carry it on his own. Toby could.
You could be right. Yeah.
Toby did. The first two Toby Spider-Mans are great movies.
The second one is still my favorite Spider-Man. The second one is still my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I can't speak to the Garfield movies because I haven't seen them, to be perfectly honest. But Spider-Man 2 is a legitimate, like, it would fit in the MCU. Like,
it would fit in the MCU. In the top
third.
It would fit in the MCU. It's also just a good movie. Like, yes. I've watched that movie. I've watched that movie a lot. I've watched a movie that with people who could not care less about Spider-Man, and they're like, I actually like this movie. So, but Tobey Maguire is also just a really good actor. Like, that's part of that thing too.
Toby's a good actor.
He's a really good actor.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So maybe, and this is just a total aside, when we do like another month for the extra episodes, when we do like rank, like we've done obviously the MCU, Fast and Furious, maybe we just do all the Spider-Man movies.
I'd love it.
Include, the Raimi, the three Raimi, the Amazing, the trilogy, the Tom Holland trilogy, not like Captain America, Civil War, and Avengers.
Right. Just the movies where Spider-Man's a star.
Yeah. And then Spider-Verse.
Yeah. I would say that instead of maybe calling things BXG episodes, we just call them total asides. Because we both say that a lot and I like it. Total aside episodes.
Okay. Yeah. So Spider-Man still about a month out. No trailer number 2 as of this time.
I will also just say everything I said, I still am very stoked about this movie.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm very stoked. I think it's gonna be awesome. I do think it's gonna be awesome, but I hate when people do think when they do stuff like this, it just bums me out.
Yeah,
that's what just my thing. It's just like, it just bums me out. Just give us what we want. The movie. Don't worry about all this other crap. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But we will move on from, we just go 3 superheroes in a row here. Maybe the only true like living superhero, Vin Diesel, pleads for The Rock to come back for Fast 10. In an Instagram post, Diesel appealed to Johnson, saying, "My little brother Dwayne, the time has come. The world awaits the finale of Fast 10. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. There is not a holiday that goes by that they and you don't send well wishes. But the time has come. Legacy awaits. I told you years ago that I was going to fulfill my promise to Pablo. I swore that we would reach and manifest the best fast in the finale. That is 10. I say this out of love. But you must show up. Do not leave the franchise idle. You have a very important role to play. Hobbs can't be played by no other. I hope you rise to the occasion and fulfill your destiny." I had to take that in. Soak it in, everyone. What a speech. A written speech. For his part, Johnson has said in the past he would not appear in Fast 10 or 11. That is confirmed he will return for Hobbs and Shaw.
There's going to be 11, isn't there? I thought that was confirmed that they were doing.
I thought that was confirmed too. So that threw me off a little bit, but maybe Vin Diesel meant like the finale for Hobbs. Like, I don't know. Go out into the sunset.
Let's see. It was confirmed in October 2020 that Justin Lin would direct the final 2 movies in the series, which will tell an overarching story, bringing back all our Fast and Furious favorites. Well, most of them.
Well, maybe they bring someone back from the dead. There's still that possibility. We've said it.
I'm just saying this right now, and this is all jokes aside. Gal Gadot's coming back because we never saw the body.
I hope so.
And if you never see the body, then they're not dead. Or even if you see the body, they're not dead. Because we saw the body of Han.
Yep. Jokes fully on. I can't wait for Paul Walker to come back. It's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be amazing. I didn't see the body there either. Gal Gadot coming back. That's awesome. If she wants to break the news,
it's not.
If she wants to break the news, reach out to the podcast. She probably lives in California. She can come here in person with me
and announce it.
And announce it. That would be terrific. Gal Gadot, please do that.
Do you think The Rock comes back?
I think he has to. I know this stuff aside, putting that out there, Vin Diesel putting that out there, Rock.
Yeah.
Dwayne.
He just did that big spread and variety where he talked a lot of shit, though.
He did, but he's also a professional wrestler at heart. And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
You do the heel move to the flip. The flip.
Right.
And no matter what, Dwayne Johnson, we've talked, he's a movie star, but he's still a wrestler at heart. And I'm just waiting for that flip. He comes back. It's probably a whole thing. This might already be set up.
It very well could be.
And it's set up, and then the world explodes because we get a Fast 10 with The Rock. My favorite version of Dwayne Johnson is, and we talked about it in our pod, tournament style, with the tournament style guys. That's my favorite version of The Rock. These movies are entertaining as hell. And they only get more entertaining when The Rock's in them.
I don't know, man.
Vin Diesel.
Went to space without him.
They did go with, but who knows where they go next?
No, that's fair.
Probably like deep, like they go to they probably had like the Titanic or something. I don't know. They bring the Titanic back.
Time travel.
Who knows? Time travel. Yeah.
I think that's,
that would be sick.
Yeah, I think he
comes back. God, I hope. Yeah, it's time travel. Lightsabers, probably. I don't know.
No, there's
Jar Jar Banks.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear.
But the man, not the toy.
The man, not the toy.
The toy based on the man who's based on the toy.
So they go back in time and they meet the man, but then they come back to regular time and they meet the toy, and they're like, why did the man talk like Chris Evans? Why did the toy talk like Tim Allen? And where does Santa Claus come into play?
Chris Pratt news.
Santa Claus is Tim Allen, who gives Vin Diesel a toy for his son, Brian.
Oh God.
And Tim Allen gives him a Buzz Lightyear that is voiced by Tim Allen.
I'm going to mute you.
It's Christmas.
It's in crisp rat news. Crisp rat news. Last week, we here at the BXG defended Star-Lord, only to have Pratt come out with some pretty indefensible tweet, more on that in a moment, about his wife, Katherine Schwarzenegger. Pratt said he loved her as much as his Ken Griffey Jr. card collection, but what made the internet explode on the Jurassic World star was when he thanked her for giving him a healthy child. Pratt, who was previously married to Anna Faris, had a child with her who suffered from various health issues. Pratt has been called many things, including vile and cringe. Over this tweet, Pratt has had problems trying to be Ryan Reynolds like snarky before on the internet, but this might be the worst yet. I honestly don't agree with that. I think that this is a witch hunt. And I think that this is more of just people don't like Chris Pratt, and they like to shit on him because, like, this is something that I can say as a parent. Like, that's something that you just say because it is like, as a parent, you do have that fear. And so like, we say that all the time, like, we're very lucky to have two like healthy kids. So I think people maybe we're reading a little bit too much into this. And
but
I
he
don't
has to
think
know that people are going to read into things. That's the one thing. He's someone that like has someone. Hopefully, I would hope he has someone checking over tweets. If he doesn't, he definitely needs someone. And we defended him, but that is bad news bears. When you say something like that, when you've had a kid that is famous for having some sort of health problem, that's just like he could have said he could have left the healthy child thing out of there. Like all he had to say is just like, thanks for giving me my second child. And like the tweet is fine then, because the Ken Griffey Jr. thing is like a whatever. That's that is part of like the Ryan Reynolds snarkiness. And like, but Blake Lively gives it back as much as she takes it. So there's this thing where Christopher Pratt tries to be funny, and when it doesn't miss the mark, he's so far off the mark. That is where it hurts, and he needs to like think things through. I don't disagree with you. This might have been a little bit of a witch hunt, but he also like we talked last week, is that he has to be more cognizant of things when he does stuff, because there is that sort of witch hunt out there. So to put that in there, like at least be like, hey, like send it to your publicist. Be like, does this read okay? And then if his publicist says that's okay, then you fire your publicist. Be like, what happened? Like you said this was okay. So I think this is, I will still defend him over other things 100%. This one was just a little rough because it's just like, you literally just got crapped on about other stuff, and you put a tweet like this out here.
Listen, he got crapped on for taking a job. He got crapped on for taking jobs.
He
That's
got crapped
not
on
fair.
for taking a job. That sucks. And I will defend him on that. I'll defend him on a lot of other stuff that he's been a part of, where it's just like, oh, he's just trying to be this, he's a working, living actor, also a human being.
Yeah.
But when you tweet something or Instagram something, like even I like make sure that, it doesn't sound offensive. It may be stupid. There might be like some stupid misspelling or something like that. But at the end of the day, like make sure it's not offensive. And that's just one of those like clear things where it's like, all you have to take out of there is like a healthy child, and no one cares then. Like they'll make a joke about like, oh, he loves his wife so much as the Ken Griffey Jr. card collection. It's like, well, that's whatever. You can tell that's obviously funny. So it's just, it was bad timing. That was just the thing. It's like everyone was already kind of crapping on him. And so that he's still in the zeitgeist of like searching for things. And then you do something like that. My thing is, I still defend
Christopher Pratt
for pretty much everything else. This one was just, I will defend him on the sense that like he was trying to be funny, but you do have to like read over your stuff and think about stuff for just 10 seconds. I've heard other celebrities say that they have their stuff written out and then they read it over and then they take like a minute. They decide if they should actually send it out, and then they send it out. And it felt like this was the one where he wrote it out. He didn't read it over in the moment he felt was heartfelt, and then he put it out there.
Yeah.
So but I hope going forward, I do hope going forward.
I don't know. Like I said, I think it's kind of a witch hunt, but that's just me.
No, I know, and all that other stuff is a witch hunt. I think this one was just him playing into the witch hunt a little bit, where it's like, oh, you're just kind of asking for it.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
But he'll make Guardians 3 and,
Jurassic
it'll make 800. Yeah, it'll make $800 million, and there we go.
Right.
So we will move on to the pop culture potpourri. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron delayed indefinitely. So
yeah, she's got commitments for Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah.
And I also think that they kind of cooled on her after Wonder Woman 2 didn't do so well.
Sure.
So I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see this get canceled. Like straight up.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if like this happened, but it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just one of those things where you delay until people forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
very possibly.
Speak it into existence. Henry Cavill wants to play Captain Britain in the MCU.
I want this.
Oh,
I want this more than anything.
Make it happen. Like
I want a solo Captain Britain movie.
What I wish this would have said is Henry Cavill will play Captain Britain.
Yes.
Will play. Perfect.
He still wants to he feels like he has unfinished business with Superman, and he still wants to play Superman, but
he does look exactly like Superman from the 1940s comic book. So
yeah. But he just seems like a really cool dude.
Yes.
Like the more
100%.
I learn about him and everything. So I'm down with him playing Captain Britain. It would be completely absurd, and that's what I want. Now, here's the question. As we talked about this earlier, when we talked about the Eternals thing, who plays Union Jack? I think you go like something like totally bonkers.
I was thinking bonkers too, and I'm trying to think like who's the most bonkers person. What's funny to me is like if you would have said like 2 years ago, I probably would have said Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
but obviously he can't now.
Jason Statham is the correct answer to play.
You're right. Jack. Jason Statham is the correct answer. Let's just make this happen. We speak other things into existence.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually funny that we were defending Chris Pratt right when this news broke. Apparently, it's happened while we were actually talking. That was funny. So we are speaking things into existence. Next week we're going to have.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like create a rumor online. Like sources say Jason Statham slated to play Union Jack in the MCU. Why not?
They just put it out on the Instagram. Gal Gadot appears with BXG in person.
Yeah, probably not.
Allegedly appears in person. It's just what I
could probably,
because I respect her talent. Anyhow,
right.
John Wick 4 wraps filming, and its title was possibly revealed by one of the actors. In an Instagram post, Shamir Anderson posted a picture of himself and star Keanu Reeves in a drawstring bag with John Wick Chapter 4 Hagakure written on it. Stoked. I'm just stoked for these John Wick movies. I know you haven't seen them, Brenton. You would like them if you actually like checked them out. I think you would. They're just actiony. They're super actiony. Like it's dark actiony. The humor's Bobon's in it, so you got a lot of good stuff. So I'm stoked. You look focused in on something. I didn't want to distract you. Oh no. Oh man. Yeah, that is Jason Statham. You're right. Because we don't have to see his face. And that helps. That's such a crazy character. Jason Statham is Union Jack. John Wick 4 looks awesome.
Yeah, John Wick 4.
Paul Rudd named Sexiest Man Alive.
I like it.
Oh, I love it. It's one of those things. There were rumors that Chris Evans was going to be Sexiest Man Alive. So I was running with that.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, as everyone knows. But Paul Rudd's like, he's obviously attractive, a handsome man. But then I read his interview.
Yeah.
If you haven't read his People magazine interview about this, it's hilarious. He's like, not to give you the whole thing, so I do want you to read the article, but he's just like, I'm going to own it. I'm going to have business cards with this written up. Like, and that's what you need someone to completely. And I heard a thing where Ryan Reynolds said that like, he wish he would, could have got it at like, was more cognizant of it when he did it. It's like, oh, well, if Paul Rudd's going to run with it, then that's what I wish I would have done that. So I think Paul Rudd's really going to be in on this train. If he's any movie event, he's like, well, I am the sexiest man alive.
Yeah,
so,
100%. Well, Ghostbusters right around the corner, like next week.
Right. And a lot of times the sexiest man alive, usually because a publicist kind of works with like people working in something.
Yeah. Right.
Just thank God it wasn't something with Will Smith. I'm over it. It's just too much Will Smith anymore. I get Will Smith showing up randomly and I don't care about him. So thank God Paul Rudd broke that for me. Thank you, Paul Rudd. Watch his Hot Ones and he's funny, and see Ghostbusters. So we think it's going to be good. Star Wars Andor and Ms. Marvel given release windows, dropping sometime between July and September of 2022.
This is Ms. Marvel was supposed to debut this fall, so it's a bump for that. Not really much else to say.
Yeah. Just, everything was going to get bumped, so it happens. So many Marvel movies. Okay.
Yeah.
Sony reportedly cutting its PS5 production due to the ongoing chip shortage. I think I have 2 bags of chips just hanging out. I don't think they need any. Oh, microchips. I thought it was because like you eat chips while you're playing games and never concerned.
I don't. Who does that? What kind of animal does that?
I don't, because you get slippery fingers.
Yes, exactly.
And it's always weird. Like, that's my thing. I was like, if you're playing a video game, every time you see like a movie, they're always eating like Cheetos and stuff. It's like, no, you don't. You're focused in.
especially not with the white DualSense controller. Absolutely not.
No,
I eat
you're
goldfish
eating
crackers.
like you're not eating crap. You're focused in. You might be having a beverage,
right?
But you're not. You're not eating chips.
I like a good
movies.
I like a good goldfish cracker
While playing video games.
Well, if I need a snack.
Are you
not greasy?
Bagging it?
No.
You're putting it with your fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, I say I'd be bagging.
Yeah.
Just no fingers, no touch. Just bagging them. Just original goldfish, or not original, but cheddar or flavor blast. What do you do?
Moving on.
Do you don't. You're not like a
just,
psychopath. It's just like the flavorless ones. Yeah.
Go. Good grief.
Anyhow, I'll finish that off. Sony was originally targeting 16 million PS5 produced by March 22, but will likely wind up closer to 15 million. And I still probably won't be able to get one.
No, I think they're going to be really hard to get the whole way into 23.
Yeah. In other game news, the PS5 turned a year old the day this post.
Yep.
And the Xbox 20th anniversary event will take place on the 15th with a possible appearance from The Rock, where he will announce he's going to be in the Fast and Furious 10 movie.
Maybe he will.
You heard it here first.
He probably won't. But anyway, he probably won't announce that on the Xbox thing.
That'd be sick, though.
Yeah.
Especially if we say it and then it happens. Transformers Rise of the Beast, which when I first read this, I thought it said Transformers Rise of the Beatles. And I thought it was going to be like a Beatles. Oh, I'm Paul, I'm Joan. And it was just going to be like that happening. Transformers Rise of the Beast has been delayed a full year to June 9th, 2023. The film wrapped filming last month and no reason was given for the delay. Well, you only have two of the Beatles living. That probably makes it tougher.
I don't like that. I don't like
that. Maybe there wasn't enough WD-40, so like the Transformers couldn't transform quick enough. If you're out, like, Decepticons probably got I
maintain. I know why. I know why that this is being delayed. You want to talk about speaking things into existence? I'll be getting a call any day now for the rewrites.
Okay.
To do the reshoots.
I hope so. If I would trust anyone with the rewrites for a Transformers movie, it is you. The new Star Trek movie has also been delayed to December 2023.
Not a J.J. Abrams thing. Directed by one of the WandaVision directors.
Yeah.
And no JJ.
No word.
So is this Pine Quinto?
It should be Pine. Yeah, I think it's still Pine. Yeah. Those movies are good.
Yeah. The last one's not that great, but the first two are pretty good.
The first two are really good. The last one's not that great. But Chris Pine, I will say Chris Pine is not in enough things.
I agree.
He's really good, and he gets underrated as the Chris's, and he's a good Chris. He's a high level Chris.
He's all right. I mean, he's
when he's in things, you're never disappointed. I will 100% say that he's good in everything he does.
Here's the thing about him, though, is that you can't, so far as I know, have an Ein that is crisp.
That is true.
So there's that.
Also, like, some people get overwhelmed by the smell of pine, and I don't know if that's something that deals with his name, but perhaps. We'll move on. A new study from the Zoological Society of London has revealed there were 3 species of sharks swimming in the Thames River, the Thames. I never know how to say it.
It's the Thames.
I never know how to say it. I'm bad. I'll say I'm not a great person with geography. 100%, probably my biggest flaw. Rivers, my worst.
Yeah.
Terrible with rivers.
So I'm pretty sure the Thames, and if you're one of our English listeners, let us know.
Yeah.
If we're saying that correctly.
One of which the spur dog is able to secrete venom from spines onto its dorsal fin.
Fuck that.
Even I'll say that. Fuck that. That is rough. Because that's like one of those things where you're just like, you're chilling out. I mean, I wouldn't be swimming in a river anyhow. I'm okay with ocean, free flow. Rivers are weird.
No,
I don't trust rivers.
Let me say this, though. As you and I, both grew up in Western Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I can guarantee you there's scarier shit than this in the Monongahela.
Oh my! If you said this was in the Monongahela, I'd be like,
I wouldn't even think twice.
I'd be like 50th worst thing.
Yeah,
50th worst thing.
100%.
Like, yeah, no, the Monongahela for anyone, and I can say that fine.
Right.
Most people can't. They never know how to say it. The Monongahela, and I lived downtown Pittsburgh for 4 years.
Yes.
Those rivers, the confluence.
Yeah.
I joked around, and you'll only get this if you know where we're talking about. And all our Pittsburgh listeners, shout us out. Friends of the program who do listen, maybe don't live there anymore. I joked around that if the Pirates win the World Series, I'll jump in the Allegheny. Okay.
Right.
And that's funny. It's like, oh, you're just jumping into like a river.
Right.
Who knows what would happen to me? Who knows? I probably come out of there. I'm probably Swamp Thing. I probably am Swamp Thing.
And that's the Allegheny.
I jump, and that's the Allegheny.
Right.
That's the best of the three. Because one's called Ohio, so we know that can't be good. And then the other one's in the Monongahela, which is the grossest of all the three. So
maybe the grossest river in the world, like full stop.
I remember when I was working at the newspaper back in college, and there were chemical tests done, and
they failed.
People,
they got Fs.
Well, there's no failing. It's just deciding, and it came back as like, whoa. I mean, literally, scientists we're basically like, we haven't seen things like this. Fecal matter was the least of the concerns. Actual poop, least of concerns in this river. So who knows what's going on in the Monongahela? But yeah, this shark came in there. It would die if this shark traveled into the river. I know that it's a saltwater creature, but let's pretend it did. It beyond the salt, keeping it alive. Other things in this would kill us in about 30 seconds. It wouldn't even be a problem.
Yes.
If you can capture these sharks, throw them in that river, you won't have to worry about
life expectancy 39 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. Monongahela is taking it down. And somewhat even weirder than venomous river shark news, there will be an Archie Comics musical set in India premiering on Netflix. I also heard that Buzz Lightyear, the real astronaut, but the actual astronaut that the movie is based off, the cartoon movie is based off, so the physical human being that Buzz Lightyear is based off of is in this movie promoting the Buzz Lightyear movie that Chris Evans is the voice of, but he has the Tim Allen toy in his hand the entire movie.
So in case you missed, we talked about the Lightyear trailer last week. You can see our discussion on the YouTube channel, in which it is a movie of a man based on a toy, and the toy is based on the man who dresses up as the toy in the movie. So it's a movie about a man. It's a movie based on a toy about a man with whom the toy is based on, who dresses up about, or rather, as the toy. So,
and it's Chris Evans. Captain
Chris
America.
Evans is the voice of Lightyear, the man, but Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear, the toy, who is based on the man, who is based on the toy. Yeah. Media recommendations.
Finished up, well, not finished up because it's still running, but caught up with Dope Sick. That show is insane. OxyContin, it's a powerful drug. Ian Fleming's Bond books, I just started them. Finally reading something that is more in my my actual wheelhouse of reading, not children's books. And children's books are fine, but it is different. And then I'll just say Allison Roman's her home movie. She did a Thanksgiving special. I love Thanksgiving. I also love Allison Roman. It's a 52-minute long thing, so it's actually like a real deal thing to watch. So I recommend that too. If you're nervous about Thanksgiving, which you shouldn't be. It's just a feast. You'll cook your turkey just fine, everyone. Baste that bad boy. Put little onions in there. Everyone really just cares about the sides anyhow. So make some good sides. Yeah. So there you go. But watch Allison Roman do this because she's funny, and she is my half Jewish sister from another mother, Allison Roman.
That's a thing that you can be.
Well, she is half Jewish, but she is also not my sister. But she is very cool, and I like Allison Roman. And that's worth watching.
Yeah.
What about you, Brendan?
I don't really have a whole lot this week. I've just been kind of,
Well, you've been making charts about figuring out Buzz Lightyear.
No,
I do know that.
Oh, okay. Been doing that at all.
I thought you were.
Just like, well, I beat Far Cry 6, and now I'm just doing trophy cleanup. Just doing trophy cleanup, and I haven't watched much this week, so I haven't watched much since Eternals.
Took my week was a little slow, other than watching like Dope Sick, and then like it's been a weird, with everything with just my change in life. But I would like to do a thing where like it's Charlie Day in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I'm trying to figure out Buzz Lightyear. Okay. That would be a funny.
I'll see what I can do. I will say, just as a early announcement, our episode the week of Thanksgiving will post a day late. That'll be on Saturday, just because we typically record on Thursdays, and neither of us are going to be available to do that. And then we're also going to do at some point this month our top 10 favorite songs, which will solicit
insane.
We'll get some listener feedback from that as well. And let's see here. BXG podcast posts every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, so on and so forth. 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 4 a.m. Hawaiian.
Aloha.
And you can follow us on our social media feeds. BXG podcast at facebook.com BXG podcast, Instagram at BXG podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, at Twitter at BXG podcast, at GTFills at Y2B, and then the YouTube channel. You go over there, like, subscribe, share, all the fun stuff. Tell your friends, tell your families,
tell your mothers
about the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care, friends.
Thanks for listening.